spring break. The sun's blazing, the drinks are flowing, and the party never stops. Until it does. For some, those carefree nights turn into something they can't unsee, something that haunts them forever. Spring break is sold as a time for sun, parties, and freedom, or so you'd think. But beneath the surface, it can be a descent into nightmares you'll never forget. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true stories that'll make you rethink that next beach trip. These aren't urban legends, they're real documented horrors. A friend who vanished into thin air, a party that woke something evil, and a predator hiding in paradise. Let's get started. Stick around till the end, you won't believe how twisted these get. Imagine this, it's spring break, early 2010s, and Panama City Beach is alive with chaos. Crowds of college kids flood the streets, music blaring from every corner, the air thick with sunscreen and sweat. 2 friends, Sarah and Emily, are just looking to have fun. They're on a budget, so they book a cheap motel a few blocks from the strip. It's not fancy. Flickering fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The carpets are stained with God knows what, and there's this faint, lingering smell of bleach in the room that neither of them can quite place. They laugh it off, drop their bags, and head out to join the party. The first night is a blur of drinks and dancing. Around midnight, Emily tells Sarah she's stepping out to grab a drink from a bar across the street. "I'll be right back," she says, flashing a grin. Sarah doesn't think much of it. She's exhausted and crashes on the lumpy motel bed. Hours pass. The sun comes up, and Emily's still not back. At first, Sarah figures she must have met someone, maybe crashed at another party. It's spring break after all. People disappear into the chaos all the time. But then she notices something odd. Emily's sandals are still by the door. Her jacket's still hanging on the chair. A knot starts forming in Sarah's stomach. She decides to look around the room, maybe call her. That's when she checks under the bed, just a hunch. And there it is, Emily's phone, tucked way back near the wall, like it was shoved there in a hurry. Sarah grabs it, hands trembling, and unlocks the screen. The last photo taken stares back at her, a blurry shot, time-stamped 1:13 a.m. It's dark, but there's enough light to make out a figure, a man standing over the bed, his face shadowed, just watching her sleep. Sarah drops the phone, her breath catching in her throat. She'd been alone in that room all night, or so she thought. Sarah calls the police, and they dig into the motel's history. Turns out, it wasn't the first time someone went missing there. Over the years, guests had vanished, always young women, always during spring break. The cops tied it to a maintenance worker who'd been fired years back, a guy with a rap sheet and a habit of lingering where he shouldn't. But here's the thing, they never caught him. Emily's case went cold. Her phone, that photo, it's all that's left. No one knows if she's still out there or what he did with her. That's just the beginning. Our next story takes spring break chaos to a whole new level. Let's move down the coast to South Padre Island, Texas, late 2000s. It's peak spring break, and the beach is a madhouse. Picture it, thumping music vibrating through the sand, red cups spilling cheap beer everywhere, a sea of strangers shouting and laughing under the stars. A group of friends, Jake and a few others, roll up to one of the biggest parties of the week. The crowd's so thick they can barely move, but someone yells about an abandoned house just off the shore. It's got no lights, broken windows, but the party's spilling inside anyway. They figure, why not? It's spring break. Rules don't apply. Inside, it's a different vibe. The air's heavy, the floor creaks underfoot, and the music fades to a dull pulse. Jake's wandering through, sipping his drink, when he notices her, a girl standing alone in the crowd. She's not dancing, not talking, just staring right at him. Her eyes don't blink, and there's something off about her. Pale, too still, like she doesn't belong. He shrugs it off, blames the booze, and keeps moving. Later, though, he's dared to check out the basement. It's pitch black down there, damp and cold. And then he sees her again, standing motionless at the far end, same blank stare, not a word. He bolts back upstairs, heart pounding, telling himself it's nothing. The trip ends, and Jake heads home, ready to crash and forget the weirdness. But a few nights later, it starts. He's alone in his apartment when he hears it, whispers, faint at first, like someone's muttering just out of sight. He checks the rooms, nothing. Then it gets louder, words he can't make out, always clearest when he's alone. One night, he wakes up to a shadow in the corner. Just a silhouette, but it's her shape, that same stillness. He blinks, and it's gone. Sleep stops coming easy after that. The whispers don't stop. Jake's freaked out enough to dig into that house online. Turns out it wasn't just some random ruin. Years back, a girl was murdered there, stabbed in that basement during a party no one reported. The case went cold, no suspect, no justice. He finds an old article with her photo, and it's her. Same face, same stare. Whatever he saw that night, it followed him home. Was it a trick of the mind? Or did spring break pull him into something he couldn't leave behind? He swore those whispers were loudest when he was alone, and he stopped going anywhere near that beach. Spring break can blur the line between reality and nightmare, but our final story is all too real. Now we head south to Cancun, Mexico, early 2020s. Spring break's in full swing. Neon lights flash over packed bars, the air's thick with tequila and salt, and the beaches are a blur of bodies. Mia's there alone, a solo traveler looking for adventure. She's at a bar one night, sipping a margarita, when a local strikes up a conversation. He's charming, dark eyes, easy smile, the kind of guy who knows the best spots tourists never find. He tells her about a hidden beach, secluded and stunning, perfect for a late-night escape. She hesitates, but he's smooth, disarming. He knew exactly how to make her feel safe until she wasn't. They leave together, walking past the crowds, into the quieter edges of town. Mia's excited, chatting away, oblivious to how the noise fades behind them. Then it's a blank. Hours later, she wakes up, head pounding, mouth dry, sprawled on a thin mattress in a room she doesn't recognize. The door's locked, her phone's gone. There's just a single window, high up, barred with rusty metal. Panic sets in fast. She can hear footsteps outside, faint voices, but no one comes in. She's trapped, and every second feels like it's closing in. That's when she spots the glass. Old, cracked, but breakable. It's her only shot. Mia grabs a loose piece of wood from the floor and smashes the window. The noise is deafening, but she doesn't care. Adrenaline's all she's got. She hoists herself up, squeezing through the jagged frame. Her hands bleed from the glass, staining her shirt, but she doesn't stop running. She stumbles through dark streets, barefoot, until she flags down a cab and gets to the police. They take her story, and what they find chills her to the bone. That guy, he wasn't just some local. He was linked to a string of abductions. Tourists, mostly women, vanishing during spring break. Some turned up later. Most didn't. Mia had walked right into his trap and barely walked out. She's safe now, back home, but the scars on her hands aren't the only thing that lingers. The cops never caught him. He slipped away, like he always did. Mia survived, but others weren't so lucky. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees that room, hears those footsteps. Spring break was supposed to be her escape. Instead, it almost became her end. And somewhere out there, he's still waiting for the next tourist who trusts the wrong smile. Mia survived, but others weren't so lucky. Spring break might sound like paradise, sun-soaked days, endless parties, a chance to let go. But for some, it's where the darkness hides in plain sight. From a motel room that swallowed a friend whole, to a party that unleashed something sinister, to a predator stalking the shadows of Cancun, these stories remind us not every escape ends in freedom. Which of these creeped you out the most? Drop it in the comments below. And if you've got your own disturbing tale, I want to hear it. Hit that like button if you felt the chill, and subscribe for more true horror stories that'll keep you up at night. Sleep tight, if you can. Oh, and hit that bell icon. Next time, we're diving into something even darker. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.